everybody? Welcome to tonight's show and movie reviews. We're going to take a look at a movie that I recently gave 2 thumbs up, even if we're biting both those thumbs off. Folks, tonight in movie reviews, we are talking Dangerous Animals. Stoked to talk about this one with all of you. This is one of the ones I had mentioned recently on my Spooky Summer Spectacular. It was one of 10 movies I said that you needed to go catch in theaters because it was guaranteed to bring you a good time over the next few months. So, let's not waste any time with this one here. We're going to dive right on into things. If you haven't seen the trailer for Dangerous Animals yet, this focuses on Tucker, the captain of an Australian shark cage attraction ship who secretly uses his profession to feed his needs by feeding his customers to the sharks. But Tucker will finally meet his match when he captures the solitary Zephyr, a young woman running from any and all connection in her life. She'll find herself on Tucker's ship as his next victim, and through a tense game of cat and mouse, she'll find herself having to make a connection if she wants to save her life. And there it is, folks. That is Dangerous Animals. Now, right off the jump here, this is going to be the kind of shark film that's going to actually offer you a lot more than just the big beast under the sea chomping on body parts and ripping people limb from limb. We do get that. Don't get me wrong. That's absolutely featured here for sure. But if you're wanting something just a little bit more substantial, that's where Dangerous Animals really has you covered. Sean Byrne, who a lot of y'all know from his previous works, The Loved Ones or The Devil's Candy, makes what's likely his most popcorn viable mainstream flick as of yet. I've seen The Loved Ones. That is such a gruesome movie. It's a really good one, but it's gruesome as hell. I have not seen The Devil's Candy yet, but what helps Byrne out so much here is that he's got a really small but entertaining cast to carry the material along. We have Hassie Harrison, who stars here as Zephyr, and you'll see a lot of similarities in this character with Blake Lively's character, like in The Shallows, for example. If you saw that movie, it's about a young woman who is having issues dealing with situations she had back at home with her family. She ends up getting attacked by a shark and marooned out onto a rock. There's going to be some obvious parallels that are going to be between that film and what we're seeing here in Dangerous Animals. But again, that was a very solitary movie. Most of that film was very much us just watching Blake Lively trying to survive this shark. And great movie for sure here, but Dangerous Animals is going to have a lot more to offer to you. Harrison does a good job of showing off that Zephyr very much has a lot of trauma in her past, and that makes her very untrustworthy of anybody at all that's around her. She wants to kind of get back into society. She wants to very much make these kind of connections, but kind of the moral of the story, what we see here in Dangerous Animals is that on one hand, she's very right for not wanting those connections, because the moment that she does, she finds herself in a bit of trouble. But the flip of that is that trouble was coming no matter what she ultimately was going to do. That Tucker had his sights set on her already. When we start getting into a lot of these tense chase scenes between Zephyr and Tucker, she makes it so believable, but that she's somebody that's capable of taking care of herself. But the reality of the situation is that doesn't just mean suddenly she's all powerful, all knowing, is just going to be able to get away with everything. And I love the fact that the movie consistently reminds us that, yeah, it's a movie. Yes, this situation is very heightened for sure, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that we have to present the same general movie heroine that we get in horror films, and that she can actually be believable in a lot of the trials and tribulations that she has to go through. But in all reality, we're going to focus on Jai Courtney, who is our lead here as Captain Tucker. Now, you've seen Jai Courtney in a variety of projects over the last 20 years or so, a lot of those in a bunch of our favorite franchises. A Good Day to Die Hard, Spartacus, Suicide Squad, Jack Reacher. He's been in so much stuff over the last 20 years, for better or for worse. And the interesting thing is that he's not really given the ability to lead a lot of these projects. He's always been a very strong supporting player for sure, but he hasn't really been given a lot of these roles that rely on him to really carry the project through. And he does that quite effortlessly here in Dangerous Animals. He really excels in that depravity. And Tucker seems like he's the most fun role for Courtney to step into, just due to some of the eccentricities that he has. When we see Tucker just enjoying himself and he's making his trophy from his latest kill, and he's just dancing around to a song, half naked, half drunk, shark scar right on the side for everybody to see. Like, I think that adds so much fun to the morbid nature of this film, because Dangerous Animals, for the most part, rides on very serious territory. But you can't help to think anytime that Jai Courtney shows up, though, he adds a little bit of humor to it. He adds a little bit of cheese to it that the movie desperately needs to achieve a more fun balance, to make it more of that popcorn flick that we have no trouble sitting through at all. So again, I hope that this actually leads to a good resurgence. It is hard not to have those eyes glued to the scene when Courtney is just in that element here in this film and having a blast with this. I would be shocked if this is not one of the more fun projects that he himself would probably claim he's worked on. If you're coming into this, again, looking for something like a Shark Night 3D, like a Piranha, which I know it's not a shark film, but it still fits that, but like a creature feature to where that's the focus, is that people are just getting ripped apart by these sharks in bloody fashion, you get a little bit of that, but honestly, it's not as exciting as watching the various chase scenes between Tucker and Zephyr in the film. The film makes sure to be realistic about the fact that Tucker can't be the smartest guy in the room. He doesn't know everything. He can't see or hear everything. He's not omnipotent. And so there are numerous times throughout this to where Zephyr can very easily outsmart him. And a lot of that's not because Zephyr is just, again, the smarter than normal movie heroine, like I mentioned. It's the fact that we get a little bit of background about things she's had to learn for herself and skills she's had to acquire in life to keep herself safe. So that puts them on a very even playing field. And that adds a lot to that great tension that's in the film, because Zephyr pushes Tucker numerous times. And you'd imagine any other movie, any other TV show we're watching with somebody mouthing off like that to a serial killer, they would very quickly turn that tables and give somebody a receipt. They'd make sure they know you're not going to speak to them like that. But Tucker points out that him and Zephyr are the same in a lot of ways, and it's hard not to see that by the end. You know, what we see Zephyr will do to get herself out of a situation. You know, I mentioned the 2 thumbs up, but bitten off. Folks, what Zephyr has to do to her thumb in this one, I had to keep my face was turned the entire time. And this is saying I watched all the shark stuff without any issues at all. I couldn't stomach watching Zephyr break her thumb and then literally bites her thumb off, y'all. I don't know if I'm gonna get to the ugly stepsister. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I'm a wimp. At 37 years old, I'm a wimp with that kind of stuff. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get through it, but as of right now, it is a tie between the cantaloupe eating scene in Bring Her Back and the thumb biting in Dangerous Animals for the grossest scene of 2025. I got a chance for you to win yourself a free Blu-ray copy of The Creep Tapes. The Creep Tapes is the phenomenal continuation of the Creep franchise from Patrick Brice and Mark Duplass that is available for streaming right now on Shudder and is now available for a physical copy on DVD and Blu-ray. If you want a chance to win yourself a free Blu-ray copy of season 1 of The Creep Tapes, you just got to tell me in the comment section which has been the grosser scene this year: the cantaloupe eating scene in Bring Her Back, or the thumb biting scene in Dangerous Animals. Let me know in the comment section wherever you are watching at the end of June. I'm gonna put all those together and pick a winner out, and you are gonna win a free Blu-ray copy of season 1 of The Creep Tapes. Now, where Dangerous Animals does have a bit of a fault here really is when it comes to the victim count and the shark action. Like I said, we get a lot of really great chase scenes back and forth between Tucker and Zephyr. They keep that tension very, very high. And when the sharks are featured, it is a lot of fun. But you can't help but think when you're watching it that for a film that's marketed so much about this guy and him feeding his victims to sharks, that's his whole thing there with it. It does kind of feel like we really don't get a hell of a lot of it. Like, there's only 3 victims total in the film. You do see that Tucker goes back and watch those tapes, obviously. It just seems like we needed a little bit more in there. I could have taken a scene to where we're watching Tucker sitting down, watching tape by tape by tape, and he's seeing or we're seeing all these different kills that he's completed. I think even a minute or two of that would have very much helped with it. Dangerous Animals, again, is going to be one of the most fun films you can go out and watch this summer. Don't come to this film looking for an endless amount of shark attacks. That's not what this is. We have plenty other films that can feed that. Instead, what director Sean Byrne and writer Nick Leppard really bring to us is giving us a serial killer story that just happens to be framed around sharks. Either way, let me know what you thought about this one here in the comment section. Dangerous Animals is very much at a 4 out of 5 here. It is one of my favorites that I've seen of the year. It definitely was right to be featured on the Spooky Summer Spectacular. I actually think it's probably going to end up hitting like 1, 2, or 3 of my rankings that I'm going to do at the end of the summer. So we'll come back and see that. But let me know in the comment section what y'all are thinking of this one. And of course, get subscribed to my channel so you can check out all the horror content that I have coming your way, folks. Go to linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. If you go there, that'll give you access to the video versions of the show on YouTube, your favorite podcasting platforms for all the audio versions that you want to listen to, my Letterboxd page for written reviews and movie rankings throughout the year, my TikTok page for shorter horror content, including movie news, movie premieres, and movie reviews, to my Twitch page for horror gaming, and my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy a 20% discount off anything in the Fangoria shop. Take advantage of that, y'all. Hit that subscribe button, hit the follow button, no matter where you're watching from. Again, a lot of great content coming up. We're going to be looking at the pilot episode of Better Luck Than Chuck. We're going to be jumping into Hell of a Summer. We're getting back to Black Mirror, and of course, more of the Bondsman for y'all. Don't want you to miss any of that. But that is going to do it for me here tonight. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.